Hello, this video is going to be about a fence. I'm going to talk about Count Dankula, and it's something for you, Mark, which I want you to look at because I'm not sure that you actually used that particular angle in your defence, and when you go in for the appeal, maybe it's worth thinking about. Apart from that, I'm going to go through a few things from venerable English literature which probably could cause offence. So if this video gets taken down, what did I just drop there? This video might get taken down, and I want somebody to mirror it so it could go up somewhere else. Please do that. Okay, right, here's the video. By the way, the Dankula March, I'm just going to give an example of actually how much the media has given it any airtime. I knew that would happen. We've just got to keep passing this stuff round. I was at the Nazi Pug Rally yesterday, and to start off with, I want to send a message to Dankula, so I hope you're watching this, Mark. Most commentators have it that you say, "Gas the Jews" to the dog. Actually, what you're mostly saying is, do you want to gas the Jews? And you say that so many more times than the simple 3-word sentence. And on the odd time that you do say gas the Jews, it's obvious from the rising tone at the end of the sentence, it's simply a shortened form of the question that you were putting to the dog. There's a lot of difference between saying what the court said you were saying and the question you were putting to the dog. Did you bring that up? If not, perhaps you should in the appeal. A question to a dog is not the same as an incitement, which maybe that's how they're taking it. As for the demo itself, it was lots of fun in a grim sort of way. And I wanted to say a special thank you to the people who actually recognised me. I honestly didn't think that would happen. And I appreciate you all, but especially I shout out to Philip and Olivia. Hi there. Both of whom came from serious distances for the demo. It was a Monday lunchtime, not the most convenient for most people to take time off, so everybody mattered in that event. And everybody, thank you for turning up on my behalf, if not for the entire team who'd organised it, and by the way, organised it very well. Now, I want to ask you all to make up your minds about these pieces of offence I'm going to speak to you. I don't know how long this video is going to stay up, so maybe somebody can actually download it and mirror it or something, because I'm going to quote some racial epithets, and I don't know how YouTube will take it. But the first quote is from Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra. A soldier called Philo is talking about Antony's obsession with the Egyptian queen, and he says this: "Nay, but this dotage of our generals o'erflows the measure." That is, it's over the top. "Those his goodly eyes now turn the office and devotion of their view upon a tawny front. His captain's heart is become the bellows and the fan to cool a gypsy's lust." Now, what's he saying there? He's saying he's fallen in love with a black woman and a gypsy to boot, because in those days Egyptians were supposed to have been the origin of the gypsies. So that's, you know, so there's 2 layers of racism, one over the other. Now, for Shakespeare's play Othello. You may know about Othello. Othello is a Moor, or a black man, who has eloped with Brabantio's daughter Desdemona, and Iago breaks the news to Brabantia thus: "Sir, you're robbed even now. An old black ram is tupping your white ewe. The devil will make a grandsire of you. So there, a black man is configured as a ram and then as the devil. Would you call that racist? I would. On another occasion, Iago describes Othello as a Barbary horse. That's an Arab stallion to you and me. He consistently refers to Othello in terms of animals. Oh, also, Othello seems to have internalised the racism that he had encountered, because when he thinks Desdemona is screwing a chap called Cassio, he says, her name that was as fresh as Diane's visage, Diane being an example of purity and virginity, her name that was as fresh as Diane's visage is now begrimed and black as mine own face. Well, if that isn't internalised racism, then nothing is. Now, let's proceed to The Merchant of Venice. Oh, that's a treasure trove, isn't it? It starts with the Prince of Morocco wooing a lady called Portia. When his suit is unsuccessful, as he leaves, Portia remarks, "A gentle riddance, go. Let all of his complexion choose me so." So you can see what she thinks of dark-skinned men. And if that's not offensive enough to people of colour, we get the merchant Antonio asking Shylock, the Jewish moneylender, for a loan. And when Shylock says to him, "Yesterday you called me cutthroat dog and spat upon my Jewish gabardine," Antonio responds, "Yeah, he did. And he'd do it again tomorrow." I'd say that was pretty offensive, wouldn't you? Let's get on to Macbeth, a play which starts with three witches cooking up a brew and describing the ingredients, which are supposed to be the nastiest things in the world. Here they are. Well, some of them. Root of hemlock, digged in the dark, liver of blaspheming Jew, nose of Turk, and Tartar's lips. Okay, so we're having a go not only at Jews, but Muslims and Asians as well. Oh, one more play, Romeo and Juliet, in which Romeo describes Juliet, a jewel in the bosom of a family he loathes, as she hangs upon the cheek of night like a rich jewel in an Ethiop's ear. An Ethiop being a black man, and a contrast to the beautiful Juliet. You see, Ethiops aren't beautiful. Midsummer Night's Dream has this. When a young man called Lysander rebuffs the advances of a lady called Hermia, he shouts at her, "Away, you Ethiop!" Meaning, "You're too dark-skinned for me," and a little later refers to her as a tawny Tartar. Oh, now let's get on to Christopher Marlowe. He wrote a play called The Jew of Malta, in which he invents a character, Barabbas, who tries to kill off an entire convent of nuns with a pot of poisoned broth. And that's without going too much into Chaucer and the various novels, such as The Scarlet Pimpernel, which has a caricature of a whining Jewish coward, and Trilby, which has a satanic Jewish hypnotist, and Oliver Twist, which has a malevolent Jewish child abuser. After that, we have the contrast between Edgar Rice Burroughs' Tarzan, who, although brought up by apes, manages to be both articulate and well-read, because he's white, in contrast to the superstitious and gullible African natives by whom he is surrounded, despite the fact that they were brought up by fellow humans. Then there is the Black Witch in Rider Haggard's King Solomon's Mines, a book which describes an African tribe of extremely primitive and cruel people who only needed the European hand of Alan Quatermain to bring them closer to some sort of civilization. Why stop there? What about the misogyny from the first book of the Bible, blaming women for all the sins of the world? What about the misogyny of the detective story, well, such as almost anything written by Raymond Chandler, where it usually turns out that the women are almost always vicious murderesses? For those of you determined to get the wrong end of the stick, I'm not suggesting that we should burn any of these books or cease reading them. What I am saying is that literature and entertainment can be taken as offensive by almost anyone. I loathe Frankie Boyle. I think he's a repellent little man who's made jokes about Down syndrome children and their parents. In my opinion, he's far more offensive than anything Dankula has done. And when, on the decreasing occasions that I watch TV, I see that Frankie Boyle is on the screen, I turn it off. Do I think he should be arrested? No. And that's how I feel about Dankula, and he's much funnier than Frankie Boyle.